Hello, everyone, and welcome in. I am Matt Olson. This is Aaron Wilson covering the Texans, a team that you guys have been asking about nonstop. So we're happy to have him here. Aaron, how are we doing today?
Doing great. Today was a day off from practice, so I wasn't in the sun for several hours, and my skin thanks me. I really feel refreshed, and I got a lot of work done. I had a little bit of news to report on with some personnel stuff and injuries. While it really wasn't a day off at all, but it is nice to get out of the sun. That's to me, it doesn't even feel like work if I get to work from home. I'm just like, all right, I'm signed up for that.
I mean, all of us, I think, in the South at this point are just baking every day. You know, you clearly have a much nicer tan than I do from being out
Well, thank
there,
you.
but it's hopefully you get some relief soon. But
Right.
you
Well,
have a
I'm from
chance.
the Northeast. Yeah, I'm from the Northeast, like you. We were talking about that before we got started. I'm from the DC, Baltimore area. And being here in Texas now, this is my 11th year. I've kind of acclimated a little bit to the heat, but it is still, it's tough. And I feel bad for these football players who are out there in the heat.
Mhm.
We haven't really had any major heat related issues for the guys. This looks like they're hydrating enough. We had one guy get dehydrated, had to miss a day, Damon Arnett Jr., former Raiders first round draft pick, but he was back out there the next day. He had a couple of IV bags and then he felt better. Then they have a mandatory day off when you've had a heat related issue for
Hmm.
safety. But yeah, for the most part, the guys are able to handle this Texas heat.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down going into the start of the season. I guess, although you have a dome down there, it helps, but even still. All right, man. I say we just dive in. We got a lot of Texans to cover here. And I think why not start at the quarterback position, right? You got CJ Stroud going into another year, obviously with a new offensive coordinator in Nick Caley, which, I think we all thought Slowick was going to be the guy for a while until last year. And, so you bring in a new mind, hope somewhat of a new philosophy. How do you feel like this impacts Stroud in the offense in general?
It's significant because with Bobby Slowick, it had gotten fairly stagnant, hence
Mm-hmm.
his dismissal. They weren't doing a good job of halftime adjustments or adapting to what the defense was throwing at them. And some of that's on him, and some of it's on CJ, and some of it's on the offensive line play. It's kind of a mixture of things. It's not one guy, but him and the offensive line coach were the only guys that lost their jobs, except for obviously trading Laramie Tunsil and cutting Shaq Mason. But it's very obvious through actions. I think actions always speak loudest, right? More than words. The actions of the team tell you everything. That they're blaming the offensive coordinator, the offensive line coach, and the couple of the offensive linemen, and they overhauled the line. All right, we've seen all that, we know all that. But in terms of Nick Caley, what they've done is this is a mixture of things that they did in New England with Tom Brady. And CJ is not Tom Brady, no comparison. I'm just saying this is some of the Tom Brady concepts that Josh McDaniels liked to run. So things that Belichick, who had a greater hand in the offense than really people realize, and Nick Caley was a young offensive assistant working with the tight ends and the fullbacks on those teams, coaching Rob Gronkowski, coaching James Devlin, coaching Martellus Bennett. And then he takes a job with the Rams and he learns some things from Sean McVay. So we'll see some McVay concepts. What we've seen is an increase in pre-snap motion, and CJ raised his hand and said, hey, I would like to have control, ownership of audibles, changing protection schemes. And last year, these young guys that they had at center, Jared Patterson solidified him at first. Juice Scruggs. You remember the Green Bay game, all those fire blitzes from Eric Wilson. They made Eric Wilson look like Ray Lewis out there. It was bad. He's just shooting through these gaps, and he's all over CJ. And then the Chiefs game, 8 sacks, 14 hits, and something needed to change. So CJ has more autonomy now and more power over the offense, and he's such a smart guy. You saw the way he ran the Ohio State offense. You saw him as NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think this is going to give him and the Texans a real shot in the arm. And I like this receiving core led by Nico Collins and some of the new additions like Jaden Higgins, Jalen Nola, and Christian Kirk. I think there's a lot of potential, but I would judge them more later in the season because the offensive line, there's some things unsettled with that still with all the overhaul we've seen. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Bailey seems to be a feisty, energy kind of guy. 6 a.m. in the morning, he's calling CJ and he's texting him, and he's really like he wakes up like he's ready to go. And I have talked to including some college coaches that worked with Nick at John Carroll University, at Akron. They just talk about, and they rave about how Nick is smart and up and coming, and they think he's a future head coach. He's 42 years old. If he transforms this offense, I guarantee he will get interviews for head coach.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of alluded to it, and obviously we're going to get to some of these guys, but the pieces around CJ are interesting this year. And I guess that we can transition kind of right into the running back scenario from there. Obviously Mixon had a good first year with the Texans. Obviously is, hobbled right now, and they go and they, get Nick Chubb, obviously before that all happened, but he's kind of filling in practice as the RB1. We saw that weird quote, I guess weird for a lack of a better term, about how he's getting up to speed and he's an older guy and all of that. And I think that scared a lot of people. Like, is he getting talked down about because he's not what the Texans expected? And then we have, gosh, I feel like Dameon Pierce has been on this team for 40 years. But you have him, and then you got a couple other guys to round out the room. So just looking at this in generalities and kind of breaking each player down, how do you see this room kind of shaking out, and what really can we expect?
Right. They can't wait to have Joe Mixon back is the short answer. And
Makes
Joe
sense.
can't wait to get back out there too. Joe's doing well. Joe's making a lot of progress. There was kind of a gloom and doom report about Joe. I've been reporting, was the first to report all spring. First, he was in a walking boot. He got hurt working out independently from the Texans. So that makes it a non-football injury. Then he got into an ankle brace, one of those like old school gym class lace-ups. Then over the summer, he got some of his mobility back. I said before camp that he would not be ready for camp, and the goal is the Rams game. So, as far as like when he'll start practicing, they don't know. I think they're going to try this to ramp him up and see, does it make sense, or does he need to miss one game or a little bit more? We'll see. I don't know that he will miss any. They are hopeful still. They're optimistic internally that he can be back. If he's not, then it's Chubb. And it's a combination of kind of a backfield committee, not just Chubb, but one guy that's played well among the young guys. I don't know if he's was thought to make the 53, but he's played very well. Is Jahar Jordan, former Louisville running back, Syracuse as well. But he's looked good. He's cut a lot better and looked a lot faster and quicker than, say, Chubb. Chubb is still, coming off the broken foot. He didn't average a lot of yards per carry, and he's now 2 years removed from the bad knee injury, which was, unfortunate and kind of really led to the end of his great career with the Browns. I mean, only Jim Brown and Leroy Kelly, Hall of Famers, have more rushing yards in Browns franchise history than Nick Chubb. What I see from Chubb is he's healthy and he gets through the hole. And I think he also paces himself a little bit because this is practice. And he said it too. And I agree with him. It's hard to run anywhere when the defense is hitting you almost as soon as you're getting the ball. And the defense is just dominating. So what's been going on in the practice field is the secondary picking off CJ and the other quarterbacks and pick sixes from Stingley and Kamari Lassiter and Kalen Bullock and all these guys and CJ Gardner-Johnson hitting people and celebrating with this, he calls it belt to ass, where he's like swinging a belt like he's going to smack you on the butt with it. He is lots of fun. I love talking to him. I've had a chance to spend some time with him away from Texans, and a very interesting character. But going back to the backfield, Dameon Pierce is still on the PUP list with a strained quadriceps. He's had this thing ever since the spring. He's still not ready to practice. They just got back J.J. Taylor from plantar fasciitis, and they're putting a lot of faith in Chubb. That's a lot. That's good backup money, paying him up to $5 million. So they expect a lot from him. I don't think they're disappointed. I think they're just realistic that he's not ever going to be the same back. That doesn't mean damaged goods can still be valuable goods, if you will. And I think, yes, he's been, there's a lot of tread off the tire. But I still, when I watch him, I'm not like, okay, this guy's washed. I know some people have been a little harsh. Some of our guys in Sports Talk Radio, they think, where is it? Where's the burst? I mean, it's early in camp. Let's just see how it looks. I want to see a carry against the Vikings if they play starters, a series or two, and then see how it looks. But right now, it looks fine. It's just been nothing spectacular. I don't want to overhype anything I've seen from Chubb, but it looks solid to me. It doesn't look bad. I just haven't seen any running back other than Jordan really make a lot of plays. It's been, pretty disappointing overall or average from the backs. And that's kind of where things stand. Can't wait to get Joe Mixon back is the prevailing attitude. It's a big topic of conversation. But it's my understanding that no setbacks for Joe and that he is trending well.
I mean, that's a big deal, right? I mean, it seems to be the overarching theme of what you just said is ideally Mixon's back week 1 and they can run their offense as they had planned. And again, we alluded earlier to the wide receivers here, and I think we just get right into them. And I think we break it into 2 parts, right? Let's talk about the 2 main veterans here with Nico Collins and the addition of Christian Kirk. I thought Christian Kirk, personally, I thought that was a great addition to this room. I think it makes a lot of sense in this offense. I think he's done well. Obviously you can say there was disappointment in Jacksonville, but he still performed fine. How do you kind of see? I think and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we kind of know what Nico Collins is in this offense. So let's just kind of talk about Christian Kirk and how he kind of fits in with this and what
You're right. We know everything about Nico. Nico is a towering specimen at 6'4", with breakaway speed and great play strength and hands and everything that he does. And he is a number 1 prototypical wide receiver who has figured out the game. Christian Kirk has looked really slick in the slot, good routes, no wasted motion, and good hands and developing chemistry. I should have mentioned this before, but a lot of the angle routes that they did with New England in terms of having the option to change the route depending on what they're seeing from the defense, that's all available to Kirk, and they're doing that. Him and CJ are communicating doing that. But I've seen good things from Kirk. The injuries, most have been freak injuries, like a broken collarbone is not a chronic injury. It's a one-time injury. And it doesn't mean that he can't be durable this year. He was durable a couple years ago. He's had kind of a tough run with injuries. If he's not healthy, they have Jalen Noel, who has a lot of ability to play in the slot too, and is very fast after the catch, 4.39 fast. So he's fast. And then Jaden Higgins, I mean, when they have him and Nico out there, it's like twin towers. Looks like a basketball team. He's 6'4" and almost 220, and he took a big hit from Jalen Petrie one day. He just jumped up. He was fine. It was a hit that may have hurt some smaller receivers, not for Higgins. And Higgins is not just a tall guy. He's not developmental. He runs good routes, all the route tree. He's also played in the slot. And there's a lot of diversity with those 2 guys in terms of where they can play. They can play outside and they can play inside. And even though Noel's not the tallest guy, he's so fast that you can line him up outside if you need to. I haven't seen, a lot of other guys really make a big move like John Mechie III or Xavier Hutchinson. Nothing really worth remarking about. At tight end, Dalton Schultz looks a little bit better to me than he did a year ago. Brevin Jordan is actually clocking faster times now in terms of miles per hour than he did on that 76-yard touchdown against the Browns in the playoffs a couple years ago. And that's, good comeback from his ACL. Most improved player on offense probably is Cade Stover, former Big Ten tight end of the year, and someone that teamed up with CJ and has a good connection with him. But that guy is a good combo tight end. He blocks, he can play fullback, and he is tough, gritty, grew up on a farm, just someone that really like what he does.
No, I mean, that's super interesting. I think the biggest questions we always get asked are about the rookies, right? And the fact that you just alluded to their ability to kind of move around and play those roles and fill in. I think, on a team that has some injuries and unfortunately has had injuries, season over season, it feels like. I feel like that is crucial. And, just rounding this all out, Aaron, we always appreciate you coming on, joining us. Tell people what you're working on, where to find you, what you're got going on. I think that's always good for these guys to hear.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I work at KPRC2. We are the NBC affiliate here in Houston. We're the number 1 station in Houston. And I'm on television some with them in kind of a role similar to like Mike Kliss, what he does in Denver. So I'm on camera some as their insider. I write for www.click2houston.com, which is free of charge, and our website address. I'm on YouTube as well. Like everybody, I think everybody has a YouTube channel now. I just got to 12,000 subscribers, so I just started in October of last year, so it's growing. I'm learning how to use YouTube, and it's at Aaron Wilson Sport, and it's a Texans only channel right now. I will occasionally weigh in on some other NFL items, but mostly just Texans. And lots of videos. Just posted a video right before we got started. I have a lot of fun with that. And then, of course, I'm on Twitter/X. I have a hard time saying X. I like Twitter. Aaron Wilson _
It's always
NFL.
Twitter.
Yeah, it's Twitter to me. And then Instagram, Aaron Wilson 7128, where I got the blue check. Actually, a friend of mine that represented Antonio Brown, he submitted me for that, and then I got the blue check. And then that was back when it meant something. Now I don't think it means too much. But yeah, I've had the check for a while, for about 7 years. So
there you go.
Instagram's fun. It's a great place to post videos and photos, and so I embrace all the social media. I like it all, but primarily, writing for our website and going on camera, and then anything like this, if somebody wants me to do, greatly appreciate these additional media opportunities. Thank you for having me on. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This was great. I think it's a perfect insight, and appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you again. And just want to thank everyone else for joining us out there. For Matt, for Aaron, you all have a good night, and we appreciate you listening.